Hi and welcome to Cherwell's first ever comment broadcast with Charles Malton from Christchurch and Barnaby Raine from Malton. Chairing the debate today is myself, Anna Cooban from St Hugh's. Today we are discussing whether staff yesterday should have gone on strike and whether students should have supported it. So basically, Barnaby, what are your thoughts on this?
So I think there are strikes and then there are strikes. You know, sometimes when people go on strike, people who use their services find it irritating, find it difficult to support them. But this is really quite an extraordinary case. Since 2008, staff at universities have seen their pay cut by 13% in real terms, which is the most sustained pay cut they've had since the Second World War. That's at a time when the university sector has a surplus, an operating surplus, profits basically every year, of £1 billion.
So I don't think the pay freeze is quite as unjustified as it's being made out to be. University lecturers since 2001 have seen their pay increase by 50%. That's compared to a private sector average of 30%, a public sector average of 40%. So over the last decade, they've done incredibly well. I think the fact that only 5% of people who were eligible to strike voted to strike yesterday kind of is indicative of the fact that they don't really feel that it is as unjustified as perhaps the unions are making out.
Well, except, you know, lots of universities across the country, turnout actually on the strike action itself was higher than a lot of the universities had predicted, and that's the real sign, people actually choosing to withdraw their labour. But I'd also say...
Well, I think there were more students occupying exam schools than there were lecturers.
Well, at Oxford we have this weird system where people teach through their colleges and they're not striking against their colleges, so actually even if they withdraw their labour from central university lectures, it doesn't have much of an effect. That's a strange system at Oxford, but I think it's not that useful for a debate to get bogged down into all these incredible specifics about, whether...
Details, we don't really need details, do we?
No, that's absolutely fine, but I just think it's not that sort of fun to engage with.
The point you were making, to be fair, Barnaby, is that their wage offer was unfair.
Yeah,
and the point I'm really saying is that when you put that into the perspective of the last decade, and also relative to other public sector workers at the moment, I don't think it is egregiously unfair.
Absolutely.
Do you not think that these further cuts or pay freezes would have a damaging impact on education? It's not just the lecturers that are being penalised here, but it's also the quality of education.
So I don't think it's a question of prioritising one sector over another. I think pretty much across the board, with the exception of international development and parts of the NHS, and everything. Well, yeah, exactly. And
£20 billion.
Yeah. Well, no. Come on. Come on.
Don't spend £20 billion.
No, Barnaby. Don't mischaracterise this. Once you have an army in a war zone, you do have to fund it. And so I suppose, coming back to your question, does it damage education to impose kind of these cuts? And the answer is yes, it does. There's no question that you reduce spending in these departments, that it will have an effect on services. You want a state which is dependent on £1 trillion worth of national debt, which is, imposing an incredible burden, £20,000 worth of debt on every child who is born today? Or do you want a state in which we accept that that situation is not sustainable, and that as a result of that you do have to make cuts in departments that will be painful, that will have an impact on services, but will kind of keep the public finances functioning in a way that means Britain doesn't go to the wall? And I think in the contrast between those two scenarios, I would prefer to take the painful option.
We're sat here in a fairly opulent room, being told. I have the greatest of respect for Charles, but I think it will stick in the throat of the people who have to clean this room. That they're told that we're sorry that we can't pay you a living wage so you can support your families. We're sorry we have to employ you on 0 hours contracts so you can't plan for next week your budgets to support your families. We're sorry, but there just isn't any money left. I mean, frankly, you only have to walk through any number of streets in any number of postcodes in central London and see the vast houses. You only have to look at the pay packets of people in the City of London, and you only have to look at the £20 billion being spent to renew our nuclear weapons at a time when we're not in the Cold War with any enemy that threatens us existentially. You only have to look at those things and say, there is a choice here. Don't let them tell you it's inevitable. Don't let them tell you, as Thatcher put it, there's no alternative. There is a choice, and we could be choosing that. We could be saying that cleaners and academic staff in the future of university matter so much that we should be funding them and not cutting taxes for the very wealthiest people, as this government does.
But that's exactly the point, isn't it? It's about the future. It's about the future of universities. It's about the future of, the cleaners here's children. It's the future. It's about my future. It's about the future of, our children in 50 years' time. And the point is, do we want them to live in a future in which they are burdened with the debts of our spending.
Well, thank you for debating with us, Charles and Barnaby, and join us again soon for another Cherwell comment debate. How should I end this? Thank you for watching.